Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Monday Night Magic with your favorite epigenetic geeks, myself, Lori Falk, and my amazing co-host, Ken Close. We are thrilled and honored to be back on track with you. I know you haven't seen us for a couple of months because I moved my home and my business, and Ken started QUORAeffect, and it exploded with just everything he had always hoped it would. And then we had, oh, what else did we have? Internet issues one night. It was like craziness. But we love you guys. And here we are. We're back. And we're back with the topic that we left off with, which was we want to know what you want to know. We bring you so many themes and so much information over the last 3 years. I think we've got over 36 episodes at this point. And, we've talked about a lot of stuff, but we want to know what you guys really, really want to know. So if you have a question, we would love for you to raise your hand and voice it. If not, we will start with two of the questions that actually got emailed into us. So it's your burning questions, whatever they are. We're really not limiting it. You know who we are. You know what we're about. You know our area of expertise, and so we're gonna just have fun tonight and help you guys with whatever it is you want help with.
I love fun. That's always the best way. The universe has one hell of a sense of humor, folks, and you probably have experienced this somewhere along the line in your life. She's like, "Hey, gosh, I just wish I could make more money. I just need some more capital." And you're walking along, and all of a sudden you find a dollar bill on the ground. It's like, dang it, right? I should have been more specific. Well, that's the point. Is there's a heck of a sense of humor out there, and oftentimes when somebody's like, let's just say the question, what is it that you want to know, right? We give that question out there, and a lot of times folks boil it right down to the suffering they're having. How do you help me with my bursitis? How do you help me with this constant ringing in my ears? How do you help me? What can I do about XYZ when we talk about the physical conditioning of the body? There's nothing wrong with that, but every single biological physical condition that we're experiencing in these human bodies originated from somewhere. And guess what? It didn't originate from the biology. It originates from the psychology. It always starts. Let me give you a little breakdown of how these bodies came to be in this moment. First thing there is source. Anybody familiar with source? You probably heard us talk about source before, right? What's source? You can call it what you want. God, quantum field, infinite intelligence. You can call it whatever you want. But there is an intelligence, there is a source for where life came. And there's a lot of information. I'm not going to get into religion, but there's a source for how things become. Once there is a source, the moment you separate from oneness, you get consciousness, various types of consciousness. You guys ever heard of the various levels of consciousness? Everything from a rock, right, to this infinite intelligence has a consciousness. You boil that down, keep drilling it down, and all of a sudden you have an individual mind, right? There's your individual consciousness, aka mind. Every mind out there has its own uniqueness, and it's separated by its own frequency, its own bandwidth. All right. So now we have mind, and then the mind puppeteers a brain. This is an organ within every body that it puppeteers the brain. And then that brain then sends information into the body and starts to become biological expressions. I don't care if it's a skin cell, a bone cell, a muscle cell, whatever. It's got a genetic code. It's got a very specific pattern that creates the biology. And that pattern is infinitely possible. There's not necessarily a lock on this biological code, on this genetic coding. Within these bodies, Lori's body, within my body, and everybody in the audience, 3% of that genetic code is fixed. Now, when I say fixed, it still has potential, but it's fixed in a bandwidth. So Lori's going to still be Lori, right? Ken's going to still be Ken. And even over years and decades of evolution, people will still recognize Lori as Lori. She doesn't morph into a Ken, or Ken into a Lori. That doesn't happen. That's because there's a very strict code within that 3% of the biological bandwidth of each human person. What's the other 97%? Well, only 3% determines whether how gorgeous Lori is or how handsome Ken might be. Oh, come on. Only 3% is doing that. What's the other 97% doing? Well, guess what? That's an adaptive gene determining how gorgeous Lori is or how handsome Ken is, because they can decay. That can go down or it can go up. You can look younger, you can look older, right? There's a whole lot of information in that 97% of that adaptive gene. And that 97% of the adaptive gene is reading one bit of information, one type of information from one particular medium of communication. And that's called frequency. It's called frequency. It's the same thing that separates my mind from Lori's mind. It's the same thing that separates all minds, is they have their own bandwidth of frequency. Now, the cool thing about that bandwidth of frequency within minds is sometimes you can get so close in tuning in with another, you can read their mind, right?
Oh my.
Right?
Just saying.
You know what's happening within them probably even better than they do sometimes, because they're so subjective in their content and you're less subjective. And so that's where it's super fun to be able to interface. Well, we're doing the same thing with that 97% of our adaptive gene. It's reading frequency, and the frequency it reads is of its environment. The external environment of the cell is the internal environment of the body. And you as a mind, as a consciousness, as a belief structure, are creating that frequency. If you're angry at the world, you're creating that frequency. If you're in love with the world, you're creating that frequency. And the body has one job. That is to serve you, to serve the mind. And then it becomes the biological, three-dimensional, in physical form expression of that mind. So you want to get younger? Think younger. You want to get more gorgeous? Think more gorgeous, right? Start there. The origin of the body begins with the mind. All right. The infinite intelligence, the quantum field, possesses your most purest form. It's there. It's a blueprint. All of us have a blueprint, and they're phenomenal. If you could see your blueprint, you'd be like, where's that guy? Where's that guy? Why is he not here? Like, well, that guy, that person is here. They're just being masked by a mind that is plagued or blessed with belief structures. Right? Lori and I talk about this a lot.
Absolutely. It's epigenetics. It's epigenetics, baby. It's that simple. It really is.
At its finest.
At its finest. Because your thoughts are going to create an emotion. The emotion is going to set off a chemical reaction. The chemical reaction has the potential to turn the genes on or off and determine the direction that they go in. And I got to tell you, I've been doing personal growth work for 3 decades, and I've been involved in holistic health for almost as long, and certainly the Healy for, gosh, is it now 5 years? So with all the biohacks, Healy's just another biohack. With all the biohacking tools that I use, I have to share with you that I went to my class reunion this last month, and wait for it, it was my 50th class reunion. Holy crap, how does that even happen? And I walked into that room and I was like, I could energetically connect with some people, but I'm like, why did everyone send their grandparents to this event? Why did anybody else show up? And then there were a lot of people. I mean, I literally wished I had like 100 business cards with me, and I wanted to hand them all out, because there was clearly an audience there, a group of people who, there were 550 people in my class when I was in high school. And I bet we had 150 of them there. And they just, the majority did not take care of themselves. I'm sure most of them didn't know what epigenetics is, quantum science, subconscious belief programs and things like that. But the best compliment that somebody paid to me that night was there was a woman that walked past who looked like she was 40. Now, that's impossible because it was 50th high school reunion. And I thought, well, she must just be in the wrong room. Come to find out, it was one of our classmates, a very, very wealthy classmate who apparently had a lot of things done. And the compliment that was paid to me was, yeah, okay, she paid for all that, but bar none, you are the most beautiful and youngest looking woman in this room who's done it all naturally. And I just about burst into tears. I mean, it was just so sweet. It really, really was. So there were, I would say, maybe 5% of the people there that looked healthy.
I should say something. Now, first of all, to have 100, 1/5 of your class at a 50th year reunion, that's amazing by itself, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I come from a class of 300, and I might have 15 people at my 40th. It's like I'm like, no, I'm exaggerating. There was probably about 30. But the point is like, it's incredible that you had that many people there. And because these bodies, they're aging at incredible rates today.
Yeah.
And it is not because one body demographically is different than another body demographically. Yeah, there's some variances, but not to the degree in which we're seeing the signs, the actual bodies changing. Excuse me. The bottom line is we have to look back. I'm an engineer. I reverse engineer everything. Why is it that these bodies are shifting in such leaps and bounds in today's world versus the rate of change just 5 years ago? The rate of change. What I mean by rate of change is like you could take a leaf of lettuce, 5 leaves of lettuce, put them in 5 different jars, and place them in 5 different temperature environments, and they will change their decay because of temperature. The rate of change. It's based on some kind of a demographic or exterior influence. Okay. So, but yet where we are demographically is the rate of change on these bodies is almost global, right? It doesn't matter where you are. It's just this rate of change is global. And if we keep digging down to the most basic of influence is this gut biome, right? We did a gut reset. We've done some things on digestive information. We've done some things here, Lori and I have, and it's all over the place. Now it's all over the place about what's going on and how it influences us, not just physically, but psychologically, because your neurotransmitters that help you as an observer, as a consciousness, feel good, oxytocin, dopamine, right? Different neurotransmitters. As you start to feel good, those are being brought into your system, into your brain. You're feeling this euphoria or this grandeur. You're just feeling a certain thing. Those are made in the gut, right? And when the gut is less than optimal, it can't provide the raw materials. So a lot of things are happening demographically. And here's what one of the studies I'm involved in. Well, I'm not involved in, but I'm partaking in the outcome, I guess I'll put it that way, is that the research is showing that the gut biome, our gut biome, is genetically being altered the same as our bodies. Like you see this exterior of us that may be aging at a certain rate. The gut biome, that's a bacteria that's not human. It's not, it's its own little ecosystem. Right. You guys have all heard us talk about the autonomic nervous system. The gut biome and its nervous system, its communications channel is the enteric nervous system. It's an ENT versus the autonomic nervous system versus ENS, ANS and ENS. Two different systems still communicating together. And this gut biome has genetically been, well, it's being called morphed or genetically altered. So what do we do about that? You know, I mean, it's everybody's doing these supportive structures, trying to find new strains of bacteria that are supportive, various strains that are effective, but where are they coming from? They're still coming from our demographic. Our demographic is a cycle. It's a cycle. We as a consciousness change things in our environment. The things in our environment then change things in the genetic coding. And that genetic coding becomes mutated. So some of the research we're doing now, and hopefully we'll be able to do a episode on this, where there is a specific strain of enzymes from a specific algae that has not been genetically altered. Cultivating that, utilizing that, and it has such a powerful influence on genetics that when we use it, when we take it into our body, it rewires and rewrites the genetic codes in our own biome, meaning we can get it back into order in a different way. So Lori and I did a gut reset using some specific ways of eating, specific mindset, specific supplementation, so some very specific things around stripping and eliminating, and even still doing that. Now, a lot of folks had great results, right? It's tremendous in its effectiveness. However, you've just cleaned up. Let's just put it this way: you still have a garbage can, and it can smell like garbage. You can rinse it out, clean it out, disinfect it, and it'll smell good for a while until the garbage goes back in, right? And then you're going to go right back into that smelly garbage can. So the problem is the garbage can hasn't learned how to help itself. We need to teach our gut biome how to help itself. That's a genetic blueprint that's available, but it's been genetically morphed over time. So we have the ability to do that just by thought alone. We can do these genetic changes and shifts by our minds. But if we continue to influence it with our demographics, to whatever degree one is creating their own outcome will be the degree in which it does take place. How many folks out there every morning start their day with a diligent meditative practice, followed by a complete holistic nutrient content, dense nutrient content infusion, and then build a model throughout their day to rehearse and reinforce what they created in the beginning? That's what's necessary to get us out of the funk that may be influencing or plaguing us right now. But not a lot of people do that. So we need some help, right?
We do. We need some help. Everybody needs some help. And there's so many different modalities that we can use. Certainly Healy is one of them. Mag Healy is another. And all of the beautiful tools in QUORAeffect are another part of it all. So
if we speak the language, remember I said, what's the language of the genetic code? There's a test on this. I hope you guys have wrote this down. What's the language of the genetic code? Frequency. It's energy. It's information. It's information. And information has a frequency to it. All information has a frequency to it. Keep boiling it down. The information field is nothing more than energy, vibration. And a vibration is a frequency. Some oscillate faster, some slower, some at such speeds that it's hard to measure. It's all vibration. And a vibration is a frequency. Okay. So if we can get down to the basic language of how a cell is created, don't you think we could hack it? Yes, absolutely. We can hack it. we're smart, folks. We are extremely intelligent human beings. But in some cases, we're shooting ourselves in the foot because we're trying to put chemicals on top of natural processes. We're punishing the body for doing the things it's supposed to do. And that's not working. And so when we start using very specific frequencies to speak to the body, we can start rewriting genetic codes. We can start having a genetic expression that is what we design by design, not by default. So that's where we are in our world today. And as Lori mentioned, we've got, this technology. Healy is a frequency generator. It's a frequency generator. Bottom line, is a frequency generator, and it uses a very specific, it's not so sophisticated, by the way, but it's the way it works is extremely sophisticated. It uses a random noise generator as a way of interfacing with your consciousness or any consciousness. It's just typically the consciousness it's attached to is the most closely interfaced mechanism. So if we're trying to get as close to a blueprint that we have of our perfection, then why not use something that interfaces with that, right? So this is where that particular hack works very well. I'm not saying it's the only thing. There's a lot of great technology out there. Lori mentioned, so QUORAeffect, you see I'm wearing my hat, empowering the body, high amplitudes of influence of light, vibration, sound, microcurrent, all of that intensity changes genetic codes. So,
Right. And brain tap, which is part of it, QUORAeffect, is phenomenal because if you have trouble meditating, the average meditation in the brain tap programs, it's like a headset. And so you're listening, different sounds in different ears, there's goggles, but it's 20 minutes, you guys. And you're guided through the whole process. And what it's helping you do most of the time is get in touch with your emotions and get a handle on your emotions. Because when we're looking at levels of consciousness, all of them have emotions attached to them. And down at the very base bottom is shame at a vibration of only 20. And it's not until we get up above the red line where we get to courage. We have the courage to do something about this. We have the courage to shift. We have the courage to choose a different way. We have the courage to change our emotions. And we get to 200. And now we are working on emotions that are going to help us stay strong. Anything below that red line is going to weaken the body. So if you wake up in the morning and you're feeling fearful, or you're feeling guilty, or you're feeling angry, first thing you've got to do is say, what can I do to shift that? And if you can't personally come up with something, then you've got to find a hack. Biohacking, however you want to do it. I think Brain Tap's an excellent tool because I think a lot of people have challenges with meditation. Not everyone is as schooled in it as our amazing Ken Close. I'm getting closer, but I'm not quite there yet. So there's just, you don't want to stay in those lower emotions. Whatever you can do is you're waking up in the morning to rise that consciousness above it. If it's go for a walk, if it's doing a walking meditation. I mean, Joe Dispenza has some fabulous walking meditations. So that's another tool you can use.
As I mentioned, even a rock has a consciousness, right? And those levels of consciousness are, the rock is a very low level of consciousness. But as you notice that 250 is just essentially neutral.
Right.
So that red line, I call those above the belt. The red line above the belt is the red line. The belt's the red line. Above the belt levels of consciousness are where we want to try to orbit. So even neutrality. So let's just say you don't have an opinion for a moment, just for a moment. You don't assign meaning for just a moment. So let's just take this experiment for a second. If you just gaze out of a window, just gaze out of a window for just a second, listen to your mind. listen to your mind. The first thing that it starts to design is your opinion. It designs content of some sort. Oh, I like that scene. I don't like that scene. Ooh, I should have trimmed the hedges. Damn it, I didn't mow the yard. Oh, look at that dog out there. Isn't he cute? It doesn't matter what it is. When you look out the window, just listen to your mind. It starts assigning meaning. Now, the practice here, neutrality comes from looking out the window and having nothing. Practice that for a minute. Look out the window and have nothing. No assigned meaning, no emotion, no judgment, nothing. Just practice this. And I'm not, we may not be good at it at first, but it's all about practice. And Lori mentioned meditation, a meditation practice, right? A biohacking practice. So a dietary practice. This is all practice. The better we get at finding a what I call choice point. You look out the window, you don't assign meaning yet. If you can even get to where you don't even assign shape, color, texture, depth, content, just look out there in a gaze of wonder, wondering as if before you ever assign meaning to green versus red, right? Somewhere along the line, somebody told you this was green and you believed them because you got enough reinforcement around your demographic, around your coaching circle, that this is green. What if it's all been a lie? What if everybody pick out something that's green right now? I'll bet you found something just now. Okay. What if that's not true? What if that's not green? What if on some other dimension, parallel dimension, that's actually a name we don't even have yet? The point is we've assigned meaning, we've all agreed upon it, and that becomes what we call truth. All right. If what we call truth and belief structures that we've built in our mind are not serving you, all I care about is what's not serving you. Of course, the color green probably is not serving you, right? It's very benign. But if something is not serving you, you've assigned a meaning to it that is incomplete. But listen, what I said, I didn't say it's wrong. I just said it's incomplete. Why is it incomplete? Because the infinite intelligence within every cell of your body does not exist to be broken. Hear me. The infinite intelligence that operates, orchestrates, and creates everything, every cell in your body does not exist to be broken. It strives every second of every day to be in balance and to thrive, to survive, so that your body does so. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. It's that simple. We're not built to be broken. The infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it, source, God, creation, did not create junk DNA. Remember that term? Everybody ever heard of that term, junk DNA, before? It wasn't until like the mid 80s that it was just found and discovered that 97% of the genetic code wasn't junk. It was found that it was an adaptive gene utilized to help your genetic code fit in its demographic, fit in its environment. 3% said Lori's going to look like Lori and not look like Ken. Thank goodness, you're way more pretty Lori than you would be a Ken. But the point is that it keeps you looking like you decade after decade after decade. And the 97% builds the quality equation of it. You still look like you, but you can look like a much worse you, see, or a much better you. So 97% of that genetic code is adaptive, reading the environment, reading one language, like I said, frequency. And when we hack into that frequency signal, we can start shifting it. But guess what trumps all of the biohacking. Anybody want to take a guess? Want to put it in the comments? What trumps all of the biohacking, all of the meditation, all of exactly, Tracy hit it right on top of the head.
Mindset.
Your mind, your thoughts will trump everything. So when you're trying to get healthier and you're feeling like you're failing, trial after trial after trial. Remember what I said, you're practicing. So don't beat yourself up. You're just practicing. Trial after trial after trial. You're not gaining any headway. You have to start in the headway. Okay. Start here. What are you thinking? Wake up in the morning tomorrow. Do this experiment. I had an experiment where you looked out the window and you assign meaning. Start practicing not assigning meaning. The next assignment, the next homework is wake up in the morning, hear your first thought. Be aware of your first thought. This is your homework. Be aware of your first thought tomorrow morning. And if your first thought isn't being grateful that you woke up, then it's wrong. I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter what it is, because if you're not grateful for that moment that you realize that you're alive, then everything else is going to be some less than. Your cell biology, your psychology, your emotional state, everything will be something less than. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And Kim, you're right too. It's your thoughts. Your thoughts are pinned, or I should say, put in boundaries of your beliefs, right? Our thoughts, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. This is neuroscience. This is not Ken. I looked it up. I studied it. 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And every single day, over 85% of those are the same as yesterday. So let me ask you a question. If 85% of your thoughts are the same as yesterday, is there very much room for new thoughts?
Not much at all. And the biggest caveat is that 90 to 98% of the time, most people are actually reacting based upon those subconscious programs. So it's the stuff that's in the subconscious, not the conscious mind, that's impacting your thoughts, that's impacting how you're feeling. So you really, I beg everyone all the time, get a Healy and do the coaching module, or hire a coach. I mean, you got to do the work, guys, because 90 to 98% of the time, unconscious is not serving you, not even a little.
No, and we know, and this is, I mean, science has proved it, but Einstein said it way back when. It's the mind that created the problem is not the same mind that's going to change it, right? It's not going to happen with the same mind. The mind that we are using today, right, has a belief structure, as Kim said, our belief structure. Okay, there's not necessarily anything wrong with your belief structure, but again, neuroscience says that 54% of what your mind believes, what you believe to be true, is a lie. Wait a minute. Now it's like, oh my God, how can I even trust anything anymore? It's not, you didn't do it on purpose. It's not that you create a mind that lied to you. You create a mind that filled in the blanks. The brain doesn't want to be wrong, because the moment it's wrong, it can't predict the future. If it can't predict the future, it doesn't know if it's going to live or die. And the number one design of the cell structures is survival. So it will put you into a survival state just so you can survive. Guess what that's called? Sympathetic nervous system. That's the fight or flight.
Right.
And that's a cortisol response. And when you have high cortisol response in the body, it turns on a whole lot of energy consuming systems that deplete you from healing. Your body cannot heal when it's in a stress response. It's not time to heal. When the body wants to heal, it's time to rest. When it's in that fight or flight mechanism, it's not trying to heal. It's trying to do. It's trying to learn. It's trying to achieve. It's trying to gain. Then there's nothing wrong with that, is there? because that's how we evolve. We get better, we get stronger, we get bigger, we get more amazing. We even get more beautiful, like Lori, right? Okay. So the point is that there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that the problem is the equation is in the human design, the equation is an 80-20 rule. 20% of the time, your body lives in a stress response because it has to, right? You're gaining, you're gathering, you're doing, you're learning. 80% of the time, it's in the rest response. So 20% fight or flight, 80% rest and digest. This is an amazing equation because now the body you can beat the heck out of the body 20% of the day, but 4 times as much of that is going to be healing the body. So what do you think you wind up with at the end of the day? A very healed and capable body that has just learned something, obtained something, gained something, and healed from it. That's not the way it works. Look it up. There's the study, the most current study on stress response in America, just the US, is that human beings in America spend 84% of their time, waking day, in stress response. 84. That's over opposite of what it's supposed to be.
It's very sad. It's very sad. It's near impossible to attract what it is you really, really want in the above the belt areas. If you're in that level of stress, you've got to have a balanced nervous system because energetically what you're putting out is so erratic that you can't possibly pull in the good stuff. Because all you're going to be pulling in is more stuff to make you more chaotic. So you've got to get a hold on those emotions. And a lot of that stuff in your subconscious, we've said this before, it's inherited. It's inherited belief systems. It's not even your own belief systems. So whatever you can do to rein those emotions in. And, sometimes you have to put on music. Sometimes you have to dance. Sometimes you just need to have a good cry. Sometimes you need to shift the energy and scream. Whatever you need to do, you've got to process the emotions so that you can shift out of them. I listened to a podcast last week and they were saying that you really only go into an intense feeling for 90 seconds and then it shifts. So if you feel something bubbling up within you and you're afraid, oh my God, if I start crying or if I let that out or if I go down that rabbit hole, I can't get back out. Just let it roll for 90 seconds and then process it. And then you'll have a release and then you can move on to something else.
How many of you have been able to cry for 2 days straight? Anybody been able to cry for 2 days straight? How about 1 day straight? So how about for okay, so you've been able to cry for 1 day straight. Now, let's process that for a second. Did you cry for 1 day straight? No. Tears streaming, emotional response, or did you have bouts of
bouts? Absolutely. As soon as I raised my hand, I went, no, that's not true.
It's impossible to cry for a full day straight. Why? Because your tear ducts emit what? Tears. Okay. Your sweat glands emit sweat. If let's just say that you're crying for a day straight, you're not replenishing your resources. And you would cry so much in 24 hours that you dehydrate, right? And first of all, the amount of energy required for that emotional response is draining. It's devastating. You would pass out, fall down on the ground and fall asleep. And then you could wake back up and cry some more. That's okay. Drink some water, cry some more. Drink some water, cry some more. That's possible, but you can't cry for a day straight. The body won't let you do it. Now, that's a survival mechanism. It automatically kicks in. It's called a biological imperative. Every cell in your body has a built-in biological imperative. And then that expands out into a species, expands out even further into the planet, but there's a biological imperative to every single thing. All right. So when we get to a point And maybe some of you experienced this before, where you've just hit rock bottom and you're just like, I'm done. I don't care if I die right now. And something lifts you up. Something brings you out. And it could be a religious belief structure, whatever you believe has brought you out. That's a biological imperative. There's an intelligence to that. And religion is built upon that. I mean, belief structures are built upon that because it's true. It's true. You are lifted out of the gutter of despair by the lack of life in your body. And that lack of life in your body hits the biological imperative button and says, get your shit together. It does. And it goes, hits that button, and things start to wake up and come back alive. But there's a cleansing mechanism to all that. Do you feel better after that long cry?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because you probably took a nap. you probably had to go and drink some water. You definitely felt like your eyes were full of sand, right? Whatever's going on. There's biological feelings in the body. Those are all built in. Did you invent that? Did you invent the fact that your eyes feel like they're full of sand when you've cried a long time? No. You didn't invent that. Those are natural biological imperatives that kick in to stop you from behaving that way. So that it helps you to heal. And Lori said something significant there. 90 seconds. So when you cut your finger or smash it with a hammer when you're doing construction, I was just doing some construction. Luckily, I didn't smash my finger. Anyway, when you damage your body, there is an instantaneous information field that goes to the brain to tell the brain something happened, right? If you cut your finger, there's that sensation. If you smash it with a finger or with a hammer, that's that sensation. If I don't know, whatever happened, there's a sensation, information to the brain. The moment that hits the brain sends resources, essentially killing mechanisms to stop it. To stop it. When you cut the finger, the white blood cells, your immune system goes in there to kill everything. That's its job. Nerve endings, skin cells, to start building a repair. It takes 90 seconds to kill that off. So within 90 seconds, the pain is downregulated, the bleeding has subsided if things are working the way they're supposed to, and a scab is already starting to form. Coagulation, all the things are starting to happen to fix that damage. And so if you're pushing the pain and the threshold of that pain beyond 90 seconds, you're faking it. Now, don't take that as an insult. I'm sorry. I'm not saying the pain went away. I'm just saying the observance of it and the influence of its initial sting or zap, whatever it is downregulated. It's downregulated by like a 75% downregulated. Okay, so this is what a lot of this is built upon, is that an emotional response, typically the body's natural biological imperative kicks in to start downregulating the effects so you can survive. It's all about survival, above and beyond your mental state, above and beyond your belief structures, above and beyond everything. I'm not saying thriving. I said surviving. Different, right? So when Lori spoke of what you're attracting, we need to understand what that means. Your body, when you have an emotion, there's a chemical that's generated, I should say a peptide, a signal that's generated from the brain when you have a thought based on your belief structures, assigned meanings, all of that. That goes into the body to signal cell receptor sites and chemical responses in the body so that you have a flood of chemistry to feel it. So your body feels the experience. That body's feeling, and it's measurable, by the way, generates a magnetic field. Your body generates a magnetic field. It's a pulse, and it's measurable. We have technology now, we can measure it, and we do. It generates a magnetic pulse. On that magnetic pulse, no different than a radio signal that's up on the Beacon Hill somewhere in your neighborhood that's transmitting a magnetic signal. It's a magnetic pulse. On that magnetic pulse it's a carrier wave for information. The information is electrons. It is the electrical content of the information that's on that magnetic wave. So your body transmits a magnetic wave. Your thought that created the emotion is the imprint on that magnetic wave. So if your thought was unworthiness, lack, shame, hatred, blame, whatever it is, that's on that magnetic wave and is being transmitted out into the world. The stronger the emotional response, the further it reaches into your world. So it doesn't matter if it's shame. When you feel it so strong that you're willing to give up every bit of your life because of it, that sends a signal omnidirectionally forever. It goes everywhere. Everyone who's ever known you will feel it to some degree. Not everybody will react on it, but they'll feel it. There's quantum entanglement between every one of us that's on this call. I mean, look at the coincidence. It's not a coincidence, but look at Tracy's here on this call by accident, right? And we met in DC back the first of the year. It's like, what? How'd you wind up here by accident? No, quantum entanglement had Tracy push a button, however way you want to spin it, wound up on this call. And all of a sudden, watch the repercussions from this call in her mind and the things that she reaches out into the world, and probably vice versa. You never know the reach of your emotional response because everyone who knows you feels it to some degree. So when Lori talked about that energy going out into the world, the signal you're sending, it is no different than the radio station that's sending out your favorite FM stereo, and you tune it in on the radio in your car. The science, the mechanism in which that information gets from point A to point B is exactly the same mechanism and science that your body is creating, right, in that moment. And the way that quantum entanglement, aka reception, that's going out there in your world and drawing in evidence in your life for shame or lack or whatever those transmissions are, listen carefully. The stronger the emotional response, the stronger the magnetic field and the further its reach. Okay, hear this, because it's if you're wondering why the things in your life are not what you want, back up and look at the emotional responses you're having, justified or not. Ladies and gentlemen, you could be justified in the loss of a loved one. And the longer you hold that emotional response, our bodies are designed to heal. And please don't hear this as callous. Our bodies are designed to heal. Somewhere along the line, we're meant to move on, to survive, to carry the legacy, right? To evolve the belief structures around loss and gain.
Right. 100%. And I really liked your analogy about the radio station, because if you think about it, if you're tuning the receiver to pick up a jazz station frequency and you really want to listen to country western, it's not going to work. The receiver and the transmitter have to be at the same frequency. And so that's what happens with our bodies, our lives. Whatever frequency we are emitting is the frequency we're going to be attracting back at. So if you don't want to attract more things to grieve about, then go cry about the grief, because you got to process it, work it through, and then shift into a higher vibrational frequency. Gratitude. I asked, when my dad died almost 20 years ago, and I asked the minister at my church, it was Church of Religious Science, so not a typical, everyday church. So I just wanted to get that clear. And I said to him, how do I process my father's death and not attract a whole lot of shit into my life? And he just was like, whoa. He said, you know what? That is a phenomenal question. May I please get back to you this afternoon? He really needed to think about what his answer would be. And he called me midday and he said, you need to grieve from a place of love, not fear. So you need to say, I miss my dad because we had such a great relationship and I was so lucky to be his daughter. That has a whole different energy than, oh my God, I just lost my dad. I don't know how I'm going to get by without him. Those are two entirely different frequencies. And I'm so grateful that I asked that question because how do you not grieve the loss of a parent? I mean, I could tell you stories about that because I actually didn't grieve the loss of my mom until 15 years later because I got married the same week. It didn't feel like I had a right to. And it really, really, really turned into a shit show. So this time around, this was 25 years later, losing my dad, I knew I needed to grieve it, but I also was studying consciousness and manifestation and epigenetics and all these things. And I'm like, how am I going to do this and not attract a lot of crap? So grieve from a place of love, not fear. I mean, process your emotions and then go, wow, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because you wouldn't be that sad if the love weren't that great.
That's right. The emotional attachment, that's the level of emotional response equates the level of loss, right? And so, but it's not about whether you will or will not react to an experience. It's how long will you react. The longer you react, the more you attract similar information back into yourself. So we did have a couple of questions too, Lori, that
Yeah.
we and one from Kim, and I think we've kind of gone around some of this about the how we navigate, how do we navigate the plethora of things in our lives, and yet maintain a certain level of health, or even manifest certain things in our lives. So let's say, and I touched on it briefly a minute ago. Even though we're justified, our lives and the significance of the emotional attachment to content is how we justify things. We find value in things around us. Just look around you. You look at any item in your house and your surroundings, you're going to assign a value to it. And the reason it's still there is because the value is higher than your energy to get rid of it. Okay. Maybe it's just barely, but it's still, I mean, I'm sure if everybody was to change the energy, if they find the most valuable thing in their house, look at it, feel the value in its energy, and then anything below that you get rid of. I'll bet the people would purge a lot of stuff from their house, right? So we assign value to things, we assign meaning to things. And that value and meaning assignment is how we are attached to it. That's how we feel justified in the responses, the sacrifices, the actions we do, the investments we place. We find value in something and we justify our actions towards it. So I said it earlier, justified or not, if it's robbing you from your life force, this is what you must evaluate in terms of how much time, energy, and activities you're spending with it. It's not robbing others of their life force, it's robbing you. You're the only one that controls your life force and your genetic expression. You, 97% of your genetic expression is an adaptive gene controlled by you. Controlled by you. Justified or not, whether you're caring for a loved one, whether you're busy in your schedule, whether you have what seems like absolutely no opportunity anywhere to change anything, you're either agreeing with the genetic outcome, right? Because you're seeing a trend. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you're seeing a trend. Look back 1 year, look back 5 years, look back 10 years. You're seeing a trend. And that trend is not serving you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Something is not serving you. This is just the truth. I'm not, I don't want to not say the truth. Something is not serving us. I'm including me. And if it's not serving me, I have to evaluate, how am I justifying its existence? How am I doing that? Why am I doing that? What's its value? Sometimes, and I had this quote from a mentor who said to me, because I said, I want to heal the world. That's my goal. I want to heal the world. And they said to me, Ken, in some cases, there are people that justify their joy based on their suffering. And who are you to steal their joy? Boom.
Ooh.
Ouch. I'm like, but I don't want them to suffer. However, it's their joy. It's the only definition they have in their life that keeps them alive.
They're so attached to it.
That's so true. And it will be carried to the death, because it's the only way one may be justifying their existence. It's the suffering that they are participating with because they're giving to another human or another something, or doing something for someone else and feeling that that suffering is worth the while. So let me ask you if I can do this for a moment. If I was to take away all of your struggle, if I was to reverse engineer all of the entities in your world right now that has caused a lack of energy, and strap it to a rocket and shoot it to the moon, who would you be? Who would you be? Could you define that person? Would you define that person? Who would you be without all of your struggles right now? Because if you could define who you would be, then it's available to you right now. It's a blueprint. If you just did this exercise, what was the first exercise? Look out the window and have nothing. Okay, what was the second one?
Ask yourself how you feel when you wake up in the morning.
First question in the morning. What's the first thought? First thought. First thought in the morning. Here's the third one. Here's the third one. The third one is, who would you be without all your suffering? And write it down. Because if you can define it, it's available to you now. Why? Because the consciousness that can define it is the same consciousness that will create it. Come on. Does that not make sense? That's the engineering logic of it. That's how my brain works. It's just engineering. It's just engineering.
It's just the way the world works. It really, truly is. So Kim, I know you're on camera. Did you want to, how can we better answer your question than what we've already shared with you?
It sounds really good. Recently, I was just trying, as you're talking, I'm trying to figure out what happened, but I've gotten a whole bunch of peace in my life. So my life has really changed around the last few weeks. And I've been doing a lot of connecting with God. That's the only way I know how to explain it. And just really seeing a life differently in so many different ways, that I have this inner peace that is just crazy. I literally don't even feel like the same person anymore. I'm not sure what all it is, but it's like I don't feel like I need to go back to the stress anymore, even though every day is stressful. Because, like, for instance, mom she fell. She had to go to the hospital. This is like 3 weeks ago. And so I've been having some people come in to help because she couldn't walk. She could only go from the bed to the wheelchair to the toilet and back again. And now she's been able to sort of walk, but now she's passing out. Now she's fainting. But the thing is, yeah, it's really hard and all that stuff. But my inside is so peaceful. I mean, I don't know what changed, but it changed so drastically. Well, I do know what changed. It's because every day, I mean, I've been going to these Bible studies, which have been wonderful, but I haven't been really so much doing that. But I've been listening to this this guy that talks and he sounds like God, but it's all biblical, healthy life behaviors. And every time I listen to it, it's like all these things. But the thing is, when I'm hearing them, they've changed me on the inside. And I don't think I'm even going to change back because I'm so different. I'm just so different. I'm so peaceful. I mean, that's the best way I know how to describe it, but it just keeps growing and growing and growing. I look at life different than I used to. I don't know.
Celebrate, Kim. That's what you celebrate. So here's the thing: do we need to know the reason? No, we don't need to know the reason. But have you guys ever had an aha moment? Anybody? I'm sure you have. An aha moment is something you realize in that second that you didn't the second before. And it had such profound information attached to it that you paid attention. Okay. It's no more than that. It's no more than that. But here's the biological infusion of that. Here's the way that it works when it comes to the biology, is it rewrites your nervous system. That's the significance of it. It rewrites your nervous system. It rewrites your brain. It rewrites synaptic connections. It rewrites neural bundling. It rewrites our what's called default neural network, right? Because we're built like a pyramid. Okay, if you look at a pyramid, all of our fundamental bases are at the base, at the bottom. They're really big and wide and very stable. Right, those are our core beliefs. And as you move forward, up and up and up, these are newer and newer belief structures. They get narrower and narrower on their baseline. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that they're very fragile. You can't take out any one of those. You can't unexperience an experience. Like I always say, you can't untaste the orange juice. Once you taste it, you've got a biological and a neurological imprint into the body about its experience. And you could be offered orange juice again down the road somewhere and just say, nah, I prefer not. But it doesn't mean it ever goes away. Same thing with a trauma, same thing with a limiting belief, same thing with a joyous experience, same thing with a love affair. It's all built into that neural network, and an aha moment rewires everything. It assigns a new layer of meaning on all of that from the top down. So I love what you said. I don't know what happened, but it's not relevant what happened. The fact that it happened and rewrote your neurological processes is what is relevant. Don't let that go, because an aha moment can happen both directions. It's omnidirectional. It can go left, right, up, down, back, forth, whatever, and rewrite your biological or your neurological system. The neurological system, by the way, our nervous system operates at the speed of light. It communicates with all trillions of cells in your body at the speed of light. And there's 400 billion bits of information going through reticular activating system, which is the stem, the core of your existence, conscious and subconscious. So there's a lot of information going on out there that you're not aware of. Our conscious awareness, what you're seeing, smelling, tasting, feeling, everything right now in this moment is 2,000 bits. Write this down. 2000. 2,000 bits of information per second. Your reticular activating system, your full-on human consciousness, is 400 billion. Now that's 4 with 14 zeros. There's a whole bunch of zeros after that, way over there. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes that you're not aware of. So the key thing is you don't need to be aware of it. Just when you accept, believe, and surrender to this new you, girl, nothing else matters. There's a song out there. Nothing. Who is it? Motley Crue, I think. Nothing else matters. That's one of my favorite. Nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters. And truly, Kim, you made a choice. You made a choice to surround yourself by this uplifted energy and these upbeat people and this new way of looking at things. And you you chose to pull that in. You chose to marinate, if you will, in that level of energy, and it shifted you. And what a gift. Whatever inspired you to do it, just be grateful.
I am, and it keeps happening, and I'm craving to learn because it keeps changing me, and I get it. I get a couple of them every day. It just keeps happening, but I am so at peace on my inside. I mean, I've been starting to lose my hair, and I think it's because I've been living in constant stress because I couldn't figure out how not to. And all of a sudden, I am different, and it doesn't really matter what's happening because I'm able to remain calm. And I can think better too. But it's just amazing because all the time, every day, and I'm craving it, and I keep getting the information. It's like, oh, I never looked at it like that. Oh, yes, that's so true. And it just becomes me. It's just very exciting.
Well, you put the question out to the universe, and the universe heard. God heard, and you put the prayer out, God responded.
Well, this is a very significant note to pay attention to. You know, it doesn't matter what happened. You followed a breadcrumb, whatever that means. You followed a breadcrumb, you got an outcome, and that's again, that's why we should pay attention to that. And remember I said the biological imperative is part of this genetic structure that keeps us alive. And it will force you out of a gutter, and it will hold you into divine. It's its job. The reason you say, I just want more, I just want more, I just want more. That's a biological imperative. It is built into your genetic code to thrive. Okay. So great question. And thank you for that presentation. Hopefully we were able to get some clarity for you, or at least mastermind on it. There's another question from Lori that came in about the topic of 5G, right? The concerns around 5G, the concerns around EMF, right? I hear this all the time. I'm an engineer, so I study wave theory extensively. And because this is how I understand and know in the epigenetic world, it is a frequency signal that signals the gene. Okay. Well, now what if we have a signal that can hack that gene? What now? Great question. Because 5G is a millimeter wave. It's a very, very short wavelength frequency that can penetrate almost anything. All right. Your microwave, if you guys have a microwave, have you ever heard of a microwave? A microwave works on millimeter wave. It uses a 2.4 gigahertz signal. 5G is 5 gigahertz, so it's twice the bandwidth or twice the frequency as microwave. And microwave can penetrate food, right? And heat and make it hot. Well, let's see how that works. First of all, a microwave transmits those frequencies in high amplitudes of power. Now, understand amplitude. Amplitude is the punch, how much power, how much strength something has. Okay. So if a body can lift 200 pounds, that's its amplitude. If a body can lift 2 pounds, that's its amplitude. All right. Same body or same human form, but one can do more work than the other. Okay. This is the same thing when it comes to frequency. Frequencies can have a wavelength, a hertz. Okay. But have no power and do nothing. Well, essentially nothing. So when it comes to microwave energy, 2.4 gigahertz, they're pumping 1,000 watts of power into that signal so that when that wavelength moves from one side of the microwave box to the other side of the microwave box, anything in its path, anything in its way is an obstacle, and it will go through it to whatever amounts of power it has to do so. And when you restrict a wavelength, the restriction is called resistance. When you create resistance, you cause heat. So that's how food heats up in the microwave. It's a resistance. Yes, it's a resistance. And the way it is a resistance, the only way that wavelength can resist anything is a medium of water, a medium of fluid. Water is a resistance. Have you ever tried to like swing a bat underwater? Give it a try. Try swinging a bat underwater. There's a lot of resistance there, right? Okay. And the harder you try, and the harder you try, and the harder you try, the hotter you get, the more you work up a sweat underwater because you're just working those muscles, and pretty soon you're exhausted. Okay, same principle. Water is a resistive medium. And when you try to transmit anything through it, it changes its outcome. How about a rainbow? You guys ever seen a rainbow? All right. A rainbow comes from pure white light moving through a sheen of water in the atmosphere, changing the frequency of light. It's called resistance. And the higher the amplitude of resistance, the lower the frequency of light. So that's why you get red all the way up to violet. Red is the slowest frequency of visible light. Violet is the highest frequency of visible light. And a rainbow is a combination of all of those, because the white pure light from the sun is being resisted by the water. And it's putting out an amazing array to show the degree of resistance it's experiencing, aka rainbow. So the reason I'm telling you all this, I'm painting a picture that when 5G moves about the world, if it has zero amplitude of power, it will do zero things to you. So it was put in relationship to these smart devices. If you take this smart device and put it 3 feet away from your body and measure 5G influence, it'll be of zero impact. Now, put it against your head.
Ouch.
And now you've got
Idea.
the highest amplitude of impact from the 5G signal. Okay. Same thing with 2.4 gigahertz. So these are dual band frequency generators. They can send 2.4 gigahertz and 5G, 5 gigahertz. Your Bluetooth bandwidth that these guys are interfacing with, I don't care what your Bluetooth device is, even if it's a Healy, your Bluetooth bandwidth is 2.4 gigahertz. But Healy uses a BLE, Bluetooth low energy. It has no amplitude, hardly at all. It can't reach more than 30 feet away. It's so low in power, you can't get very far away from it without it losing connection. How many of you guys have a Bluetooth device, say a speaker, that you can go down the block and the speaker still works, right? That's because it has super high amplitude of power on 2.4 gigahertz, much more damaging than 30 feet away. So the distance in which something can be transmitted and received is the understanding about its amplitude of influence. Okay. So yeah, be concerned about 5G, or even 2.4G. Be concerned, but be more concerned about how much power that they have to pack a punch with. When it's not very much, it's not a big deal. However, I'm not going to discount this. It still has an influence on genetic coding to some degree. And normally the species will normalize itself after the introduction of the frequency. Go back in history. Go back in history and look at the studies. When AM radio was introduced to the world, there was an epidemic. There was an epidemic. There was a widespread epidemic because the biology of these bodies had to overcome the influence of this new frequency waveform. No different than FM. Okay, you can look back on studies. There's studies that show the infusion or the influence of some condition in the human biology based on a frequency that was introduced. So what came about the same time 5G was introduced?
COVID.
A pandemic, right? A COVID. This is our human genetic systems regulating. And now, for the most part, our evolution, our shift, our change in genetic coding has become essentially immune. So some people didn't have any response. Why? Because the infinite intelligence within biology, within the genetic code, has all potential. Some were already wired for that outcome and had no response. I had no response. Some were already built for it. Okay. Some were not. Some were on the precipice of end of life already. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. There was a lot of loss. But the point is, some people had no response. And the interesting phenomenon about that is he had no response. A lot of O blood types had no response. A lot of O blood types had no response. And that's because it's a genetic imprint within that blood type chemistry. See, Izzy's an O, Dixie's an O. A lot of people with O blood type, right, had no response. And that's why. So there's already a genetic code for everything, even what we haven't thought of yet. Okay. So I want everyone to feel confident within their humanness that there is a code that will get you beyond. I don't care what the suffering is right now. I don't care what the genetic biological response is going on right now. It does not matter. Does not matter. There is a genetic expression that you can turn on, like Christmas lights, like Lori said earlier. You turn them on and off all the time, every day. But do you do it on purpose? Do you do it on purpose, or do you do it by default? Do you wake up in the morning and be grateful first and then concerned at second? Because that turns on a genetic code. Do you look out the window and have no judgment and no assignment? Or do you barrage everything out there with your beliefs? Okay. You want to be a superhuman? We just gave you the codes of how to do it. All right. And Lori says, please keep your phone away from your head, and the wireless earbuds, throw them in the garbage.
Right.
I know they're way awesome and convenient. Nope. Wired,
No.
why the ones you plug in, the wired earbuds, no problem. No problem. They're not sending a 2.4 gigahertz Bluetooth signal. They're not. They're just a benign transmitter of vibration, not EMF. Now, is sound EMF? Look at the meaning of EMF, electromagnetic force. Electromagnetic force, electromagnetic frequency. When I transmit my voice, it changes into a vibration. A vibration is different, but it's still a magnetic force. Magnetic energy is still a vibrational information field. And your voice moves that magnetic field in order for the other person to receive it. Very fascinating wave theory. It's amazing. So when it comes to 5G and these devices, distance, folks, distance is your best friend. 3 feet and the signal is almost nothing. Right now, I'm not saying that your smart device won't pick anything up everywhere and anywhere. Yeah, but your proximity to it is the relevance here. Your proximity to it. If you guys have your phones on your nightstands with them plugged in, 3 feet, you can still do that. Just put it 3 feet. And so Tracy asked about how about airplane mode? Nope, not going to cut it. Airplane mode. Your device, when in airplane mode, and because your Bluetooth doesn't turn off in airplane mode, turn airplane mode off, turn Bluetooth off. Now we're getting somewhere, because you're still transmitting millimeter waves. But here's the other thing: your phone's constantly sending a signal out to connect to a repeater, constantly looking for a source of signal. And when you turn Bluetooth airplane mode on, your Wi-Fi is still on. And it will connect to Wi-Fi. What's Wi-Fi? It's 5 gigahertz, 5G. So you have to turn all of that off. So just because you went into airplane mode doesn't mean it turned off Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. It doesn't. You have to physically do that. Okay. And now you're more safeguarded. But why not just turn the phone off? If you're using it as your alarm, fine. Put it across the room. Make yourself get out of bed and go turn it off instead of just reach over and hit the snooze, whatever. If you're using it as an alarm, great. If you're using it as a sound generator for white noise, rain, whatever, still put it further away from your body, right? Turn the volume up. Turn the volume up. Put it further away. You can still hear it. I do. I play binary sounds all night long. Well, not all night. I usually set it for about an hour and a half, but I put it far away from me and I can still hear it. Your subconscious can hear anything. How many of you guys are parents? Moms? Any moms out there? Have you ever had your baby in the other room and the baby started crying? Could you hear it? You heard it above and beyond the fan, above and beyond the firecrackers outside. You heard it above and beyond the sirens in your city. You heard it above and beyond everything because you're tuned into it, right? It's your subconscious that's hearing. Your ears never turn off. Neither do your eyes. How many of you guys ever been dead asleep and a bright light hit you in the eyes? What happens? Bam, right awake, right?
Yep.
Your olfactory nerve doesn't shut off either. So your senses are still on when you're asleep. It's just the mind is out of the way and not assigning meaning to it until it does. Okay, guys. Did we cover what we wanted to cover?
Oh my, that was a wealth of information.
I hope we did. I'm sorry we went a little over here, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm hope we answered your questions because these were great questions and just understanding how we thrive and not just survive. I love you all unconditionally, but if you could take anything away from this, is that we have to really assess what we're giving our value to, justified or not. I love so many things in this world. I love so many things in this world. But if that thing that I love so much is decaying my biological expression, I have to stop. I have to build distance or dissonance of some sort. I have to build a barrier from it because it's having a biological effect.
Mm-hmm.
You get one body to navigate this life in. How do you want to do it? Do you want to just be living or do you want to thrive?
So Tracy asked a very interesting question. Is there an online group for Monday Night Magic? And we have not had an online group. So I want to know from all of you, do you want a Telegram group where you can ask questions?
Telegram or what? I mean, again, what's the definition of an online group? Yeah, we have Telegram, WhatsApp, we have, you know, I don't know, Signal, we have Facebook, social media, whatever. You know, not everybody's on social media. Sometimes it's great to have another source of communications that would broadcast amongst an entire group. So yeah, so what's your best? What do you love so much? I have them all, and unfortunately that gets quite, you know, it's so many different organizations have different groups, and I'm involved in all of them. And it's like, where was that message? I forgot where I have to respond.
I know. So I would personally recommend Telegram because it's the easiest to navigate. You can find the pictures, you can find the links, you can find everything fairly easily. Facebook Messenger is a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. So so Ken and I'll talk about it, and you guys reach out to me. You all have my email, you all have my phone number. Just let me know, and then Ken and I will discuss it and see, because we both would need to be in there answering the questions. Some of them I can, some of them I can, and some of them I can't. Let's just put it that way, because I am not an engineer. So
yeah, it's not a hard thing. We can definitely create something if that needs out there. You're all on Lori's mailing list, and so that's the best way to reach out. One last thing I want to address, and Tracy opened an amazing window, and I touched on it earlier, is the gut biome and the detox and what's going on in our bodies. So first of all, if we can get the gut biome functioning the way it was designed by our creator, we have solved everything. We have solved everything. Now, what's a good detox? So first of all, I have built a model from an engineering perspective. I don't force or push or resist anything. I make something that doesn't work obsolete. The key thing here is not to push or force against something, it's to make its ineffectiveness obsolete. If it's not working, let's navigate around it. Let's build something that does work in its presence, make it absent. So I'm working with a group of scientists, one scientist particularly who has developed, based on some research that has been a $6 billion project. I was like, man, just give me some of that. In the discovery process of rewriting genetic codes in our gut biome. All right. So there is a very specific algae, I mentioned it earlier, that has now generated a way of rewriting this gut biome. I'm working on getting it in the United States. It's coming. It's comes out of Switzerland. But I have a Zoom call with the scientists that created it, by the way. I'm super excited about that because we're both geeks on the science side of things. And he wants to learn about what I'm doing. And I'm like, I want to learn about what you're doing. And but we have a powerful tool that is natural, that is moving the needle back into historical ways of where we were hundreds of years ago. Hundreds, I didn't say decades, I said hundreds of years ago, when the gut biome, the entire flora, the bacterial systems had a genetically mutated existence. It's today, our gut is genetically mutated, folks, like it or not. I don't care how many cleanses you do. I don't care what you've done in terms of gut biome research and work. It's mutated. And so we're working on in reverse engineering that, putting it back into where it was. And this algae has the archive of genetic code. So don't worry. Everybody here is going to know about it as soon as I got it in my hand. Believe me. I do things for me first and then the world. Me first and then the world. Sorry, I gotta first be strong before I can hold you guys up, right? I want to heal the world. You're all part of this. Okay.
Right. And it's wonderful that you test it on yourself first. I do the same with so many things. I want to know that I've tried it, that it's worked for me, that I can really stand behind it. And that's the way Ken and I are. And trust me, he'll let me know and I'll let you know, because that's how we roll.
Yeah. And it's not going to take long. 30 to 60 days. It's going to be here. So, all right. Thank you all so much for being here. Oh my gosh. And Tracy, you're 100% right. You want to change emotions. You want to change anything in you as a person. And here's the thing. It's even our immune system. Our immune system it's gut biome generated. You want to build lean muscle? We got to get other things stopping it. I tell people when they come in my clinic, I do a little interview. We do a little intake, and I ask them one question. If they don't agree with this, I can't help you. I ask them this question, and if they don't have something they're willing to do, then we're done. I ask them this question: what are you willing to surrender to gain? What are you willing to surrender to gain? And if they say everything, I'm like, boom, you're my kind of peeps, right? If they say, well, I might give you my Monday twice a month. I'm like, all right, well, okay, I'll take I take the Mondays twice a month. I'll take it, but we got to work on that. All right.
All right. You guys are all amazing. You've hung in there with us. Tracy, I promised you were not going to be disappointed that you were here. I hope we've entertained you and educated you just as I said we would.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. So August 11th is the second Monday of August. So let us know what you want to hear more about. because as you can see, we're real good at going off on tangents, but we want to make sure they're the tangents that you want the most information on.
Did you guys learn anything? Was there anything valuable that you were able to obtain? Now, I see some yeses. I don't see everybody saying yes. I see two heads knocking that are on screen. Come on. Did you guys learn anything? If you didn't, then forget about August 11th. All right, just forget about it. Don't come back. No, I'm kidding. But this, if you didn't learn something, I love you anyway. Trust me, I get a little excited. The point here is that if you learn something, great. Now I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Use it. Use it. Rehearse it. Just demonstrate it. Practice it, because that starts to build the default neural network in a stronger way in your mind, in your brain, and you become a different version of you. Then when you do it yourself, the information that we talked no longer is just speculation. When you find a way of living that's changed, you find some benefit, some change in your biology, okay, now it's truth for you. Once it becomes truth for you, when you demonstrate that to someone else and they practice it, now we've generated a wisdom. Okay, I'm not talking about just information. I want us to have wisdom. This is source driven. Truth is truth. And when this comes from source, moves around the entire consciousness, and we move from the 4-minute mile to the 3-minute mile, boom, baby. All right.
All right. My goodness. See, you don't hear from us for a couple of months, and now we are like,
Can I tell you, Ken, just one quick thing
Yes.
that I've been wanting to tell you? You know, I did the Joe Dispenza, that sort of, I don't know what it's called now. I can't remember. It's that second part, where it's like you're doing a class, but you're watching it on the video and you go through all of the class with them.
Yeah,
And
it's the progressive workshop.
yeah, the progressive workshop. So I did that. And then I was doing my meditations, going into the infinite. And, I do my special thing when I go there, it's about Christ for me. And I stopped doing massage therapy about a year ago. And then I moved to a new place. And then all of a sudden I had this space open. And then somebody said, I have a massage table for free. So I took it. I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I know I want to take it. And then I remembered I used to do this therapy called the Bowen technique. And it's something that supports my body and allows me to help people again, which I missed a lot. And then I started noticing when I'm putting people on the table, you do some moves, and then there's a waiting period where the nervous system processes into the brain. And during that time, well, the whole time I'm like, found myself taking those people with me into the infinite. And it just was something that just started happening in my sessions. And then the sessions kept getting longer. And I'm like, man, it felt like it was 15 minutes.
wow.
I was in here. So anyway, and then I just afterwards feel like so happy. I feel so amazingly happy. And so I wanted to share that with you because it was just something spontaneous that happened in the treatments, and it's pretty amazing, and I'm loving it.
Spontaneous, she says. You know what? That progressive
Synchronicity.
that progressive workshop changed your biology. It changed your nervous system. You learned new information, led to transformation. All of that was synchronicity, one thing after another. That's phenomenal.
Yes.
That's how it works. That's how
Yes.
it works. The simplest
Yeah.
we think it's the simplest of things, the smallest of things, but you invested your time, energy, and attention to that 12-week program. It's a 12-week, well, it's a 12 session that you can do it in a weekend, but that particular workshop, it's all online, by the way, folks. And it's 12 sessions. You just follow along and listen to the information, and it will shift something in you. I promise. I promise it will do it. So anyway, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know it works, y'all.
And Benita, my darling, it worked because you worked it.
Yes.
That's how you roll. I know that about you. So
Yes.
kudos to you for doing the work.
Izzy,
Right,
Izzy,
so,
I want to
mahalo.
mahalo. Izzy, I want to offer something to you. Contact me, PM me, some of the things that you want. I think I can help you with. So, okay.
Absolutely. All right,
Awesome.
everybody.
I will. Thank you.
All right. All
We
right.
love you guys. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. Just keep vibing high.
Vibing. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you guys. See you.
Aloha.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Ken. This was amazing.
Bye-bye.